Hello everyone. Hello 大家好啊！今日咧好開心啊，請到阿 Sam 上嚟。咁阿 Sam 咧就係劍橋一位高材生嚟嘅。咁佢喺劍橋嘅高中讀完之後咧，阿 Sam 咧就考咗入牛津大學喎。佢亦都係我哋英國教育院其中一個好優秀嘅老師嘅 tutor，去幫我哋好多學生咧考到好多好好嘅學校嘅喎。今日好歡迎Sam 上嚟啦 ，Welcome Sam. Can you please introduce yourself, Sam?
Yeah, hello, welcome. I'm Sam. I'm 22 years old. I live in Cambridge at the moment.
And how long have you been living in Cambridge, Sam?
So I moved here from London when I was 7 years old. So now almost 15 years, a long time.
Great. Which secondary school did you go to, Sam?
So I went to the Lees School, which is kind of right in the centre of Cambridge. It's a boarding school, but also has day pupils right in the centre of Cambridge. Yeah.
Did you enjoy your time at the Lees?
Yeah, I really did. I loved it. I think there was lots to do there. I was there for 5 years, and really enjoyed my time throughout. There was so much to do. I got involved in sort of the academic side and really enjoyed the subjects and the learning, but also did a lot of music and sport and drama and lots of things like that.
What kind of sports do you like?
Yeah, so I did. I played all the different sports. My favorite was hockey, so field hockey. We played on this big AstroTurf they have at the Leeds. They actually have 2 AstroTurfs, so it's great. But I played a lot of hockey competitively, and then also did sort of a bit of rugby, played some cricket in the summer, and also did a bit of tennis. But I did a whole range throughout. Yeah.
I know you did extremely well in your GCSE and A level. Why didn't you consider apply to the University of Cambridge, but you go for the other one?
Yes. So I've just finished, as you say, I've just finished 3 years at Oxford University. I guess so. I could have applied to Cambridge University in England. Actually, the English system is such that you can only apply to one of Oxford or Cambridge. So you have to choose, and both are really good universities. And I ended up studying history. I applied for history and economics, so I got in for that degree. And both offer, Cambridge and Oxford both offer great degrees for history and for economics. But I think I lived in Cambridge, so I know Cambridge very well. And I think I wanted a part of my university experience, as well as learning and studying. I wanted to go to a new place and go to a new city and meet new people. And I think Cambridge was a little bit too close to home for me, so I thought I'd apply to Oxford.
Great, fantastic. 嗱，介紹一下，有啲觀眾已經喺度，或者有啲觀眾而家唔得閒，會睇翻個 replay。阿 Sam 咧就係我哋英國教育院其中一位好好嘅tutor 啦，咁咧佢會幫手教 GCSE 同埋教 A level 嘅，咁當然 GCSE 同 A level 阿 Sam 都係攞晒 A 嘅啦，基本上。咁我就問緊佢點解佢喺 Leeds 讀完 ，Leeds 係劍橋一間好好嘅中學啦，今年都係 oversubscribe 得非常厲害嘅，好多人都想考 Leeds，但係都係個 waiting list 入面未必考到。咁阿 Sam 就入咗去讀書啦，原來佢細個喺倫敦，跟住咧就搬咗過嚟劍橋。咁之後咧就考到 Leeds 啦，跟住考完 Leeds 之後咧，佢就考到牛津大學嘅，咁一路都係平步青雲咁上去啦。咁我今日咧就訪問阿 Sam，等佢同我哋學生分享一下咧佢嘅讀書技巧，同埋點解佢可以攞到咁全部都 A， 跟住又可以入到牛津大學喎。Sam, could you please share some of your study skills? Why you could do so well in your GCSE and A level?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. A few things I'd probably say, but I think one of the most important things that I've learned probably as I've gone through school, done exams, had to do revision, and through university now, is really important to plan your time, plan how you revise, plan how you study, and actually even if I've got my GCSEs ahead of me and I've got 3 months or 4 months to my GCSEs, actually taking a few days to really think about how I'm going to revise the content, how I'm going to study the stuff I need to learn, is actually really important. I think a lot of people tend to jump in and sort of try and learn everything really quickly. But actually, if you plan out exactly what you need to study and when you should study it, then actually, and if you keep to that schedule, that can be really helpful. And then you don't get overwhelmed, you don't do too much too soon, or you don't fall behind. That would be one of my biggest tips. Probably for general stuff. I can talk about exams as well if that would be helpful.
Yes, please share with us, especially the GCSE and the A-level exam. We have a lot of students who would like to listen to it. How to get A stars.
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously, working hard is important, and listening to your teachers and listening in classes. I often think a lot of people leave it to the last minute and they try and revise right in the last month before the exams. But actually, often the best way to do well is just to be listening in your classes for the whole, say, 2 years. GCSE courses are about 2 years long. If you listen, and listen to your teachers for the 2 years that you do it, actually, you'll be in a much better place when you come around to revising. But I think, another big thing, as I said, planning your time is really important. When you get even closer to the exams, I think, when you've got a couple of weeks to the exams, I think if you know the content fairly well, the best thing to do is just to turn to past papers and to study, to try and do practice exams, see what questions they've asked before, go over them, what did you get wrong, what did you get right, and try and make sure there aren't any massive holes in your knowledge. And I think if you do that, then again, when you get to the actual exam, it will be much less scary because you've done exams before. You'll be more used to answering the sort of questions that come up. And the whole process will be a lot easier because less will surprise you. You won't go in and be shocked at how the exam paper is set out because you will have already done a few before. And that can be really helpful sort of right towards the end of revision. If you've learned the content you need to learn, I find that really helpful.
And how did you compare GCSE and A-level？ 佢哋兩個之間其實好多考生咧都覺得GCSE 係好容易 ，A-level 咧就係好難嘅。咁我都想問下 Sam 啦。Sam, you know, most of my students they are saying that A-level is really difficult and GCSE comparatively is a lot easier. How do you think about psychologically? How do you prepare for the challenging exams?
Yeah, it's a great question. I suppose the big difference, or one of the big differences, as I said, with planning your time with GCSEs, because there's maybe 10 subjects or 11 subjects that you're doing, you've got to take each subject and you've got to be really careful and spend an hour on this one and then move on to the next one. So you study everything. When you get to A-level, you might only have 3 subjects and they're really big. So for example, I do history. I did history at A-level and there's so much to learn. And so often, instead of trying to learn a few individual facts, as you might learn at GCSE, actually a good way of approaching it is actually trying to understand everything that's going on. So if I particularly look at history, but I'm sure it'll apply to things like English or geography, actually, if I take the subject area I've got and I try and actually understand the whole course that I've been given, then actually, if I do that, then I'm in a good place to actually revise individual topics and apply it to the wider sort of subject that I've got. And that's really helpful for A-level. But I think also, again, just being more deliberate with time, being specific and committing the right amount of time to the right subjects. I always knew that at A-level, I was always better at economics than I was at maths. So I made sure to spend more time revising maths than I did economics, just because, I found it a little bit harder. And that's always important, knowing your weaknesses and knowing your strengths. And I suppose one final thing I'd say is if you're a student who's doing GCSEs and you're thinking about what A-levels to do, a really important thing I think is actually, do the ones that you think you want to do and that will help you and that talk to your parents, but also choose ones that will excite you, because it's really hard to spend 2 years doing an A-level if it's if you don't enjoy it at all. But if you enjoy it, it'll be a lot easier to work on. You'll do a lot better. You'll get those A's and those A stars if you enjoy what you're doing, which is really important.
I see. And Sam, every day we only have 24 hours. How did you manage your time to achieve all the A's?
It's a good question. I've got better at it I'm quite a disorganized person by nature. So I'm usually I have to be disciplined with my time because I'm not very good at organizing my time. But I think I've always tried to have a strict schedule that at least I try and follow. And if I fall out of it, I can kind of come back to it. But that might mean, getting up in the morning and saying, okay, I'll have 2 revision slots before lunch, for example, and I'll try and do 2 subjects, 2 little things before lunch. And then after lunch, I might have, say, 3 slots before dinner. And if one of those slots overruns and end up only doing 2, then that's okay. Like, I don't, I'm not going to beat myself up. That's all right. But if I try and keep to that each day, then I find actually by, after I might have a bad day, but after a week or 2, I've actually studied the things I need to study. And I think the other big thing that I would really encourage people is rest is really important. People I know lots of people who get to exam revision and they've got, 6 weeks till exams, and they think, I'll revise every day for, 15 hours or something. But what happens if you do that is if you do that for 7 days a week for 6 weeks, you just burn out, and you get to a week before the exam and you're tired and you can't remember anything. So I always took a day a week. Each week I would take a day off, so I would do no work on 1 day a week, and try and almost actually think about other things. Because if I do that, then my head is clear to think about work on the other days. And again, during the day, find things that might distract you a little bit when you're not working. So, if it's going for a walk or playing sport, maybe, or maybe playing games with siblings or something like that, that's really helpful between the hours that you're working, because that allows you to work really hard in the times that you are working, as opposed to trying to just work every hour of the day, which is unsustainable.
嗱，阿 Sam 咧，佢嘅方法就係要 plan， 即係將考試嘅時間咧，好早之前已經 plan 落去，就千祈唔好臨急抱佛腳，咁樣嘅機會咧係唔會太成功嘅，就係之前要 plan 好晒，咁呢樣係一個好好嘅 tips 啦。另外，阿 Sam 咧亦都講到咧，就係你中意讀嘅科目咧，不妨係即係花多啲時間去做佢嘅 past paper， 咁呢個都係非常之重要嘅。咁如果你哋有需要幫助嘅話咧，我哋英國教育園入面咧有好多最頂尖嘅老師啦，包括阿 Sam 咧係喺 Lee School 咧一個高材生嚟嘅，我咁多年見阿 Sam 就係其中一個最喺 Lee School 入面 graduate 一個最叻嘅學生，咁佢都係有幫我哋好多學生去攞到獎學金啦，或者係考到好頂尖嘅大學嘅。所以今日咧非常之多謝阿 Sam。Sam, thank you so much for all your sharing. And 如果學生你哋有咩問題咧，可以喺下面度留言啦，咁我都會叫阿 Sam 咧再答翻你哋嘅。嚟緊啦，我哋都會訪問好多唔同嘅叻嘅人，同大家分享一下咧喺英國讀書嘅 tips 啦，同埋技巧嘅喎。咁今日咧同大家講住咁多嘢，如果大家有咩想知道嘅話咧，都可以喺下面留言。咁咧我哋再同大家分享多一啲。Thank you so much, Sam, for all your sharing. I hope you have a good day.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy the good weekend.
Thank you.
Bye bye.